Have you ever wondered, could the clothes you're wearing be sending a message you never intended to convey? After the age of 60, clothing becomes more than just a way to cover your body or stay warm. It reflects how you treat yourself. Some choices seem harmless, a slightly wrinkled shirt, a pair of worn-out shoes, but to others, they might silently say, you've stopped caring about yourself, or worse, you're clinging to something that no longer fits who you are. This isn't about chasing fashion trends, it's about respect, dignity, and how you present yourself in a world where you've lived, contributed, and overcome so much. In today's video, we're going to explore 9 common fashion mistakes that can unknowingly diminish your image after 60 and how to fix them with simple, practical changes. Stay until the end because you might be surprised. Just one small change could completely shift how others see you and how you see yourself. Let's start with something simple, something so familiar that most people overlook it, the way your clothes actually fit. Take a moment. Have you ever slipped into a shirt that used to fit just right, but now it droops off your shoulders or pulls uncomfortably at the buttons? Maybe your favorite pair of pants used to sit perfectly on your waist, but today they feel loose and lifeless. Here's the thing. Our bodies change as we age, and that's not a flaw. That's life. The real issue is our wardrobes don't always change with us. Some clothes become too loose. They create a look that says you're hiding away instead of showing up. Others become too tight, and that sends a different message, that you're clinging to a version of yourself that no longer fits who you are today. And in both cases, something important is lost. That quiet, steady confidence that comes from dressing in a way that reflects who you truly are right now. Picture this. 2 people, both in their early 70s, are heading to a birthday party for their grandchild. One wears a tailored button-up shirt and neatly pressed slacks. Nothing flashy, just simple and sharp. The other wears a baggy sweater stretched at the cuffs and pants that drag slightly at the heel. They may share the same age, even the same story, but one of them walks into the room with presence. The other, with hesitation. Now let me be clear. This isn't about spending big or looking younger. It's about looking like you still care. Because when you wear something that fits just right, something inside of you stands up straighter. You walk with ease, you smile more often, and you feel aligned. These changes in your body aren't something to feel bad about. They're a part of your story, a reflection of all the years you've lived, adapted, and grown through. And that's something to honor, not hide. So maybe it's time to revisit your closet. Try on what you've been keeping just in case. Let go of what no longer supports you and welcome in something that not only fits your body, but fits the life you're living now. Let me ask you, is there a piece of clothing in your closet that no longer serves you, but you've kept it out of habit or nostalgia? What would it feel like to release it and choose something that celebrates the person you are today? If this message touched something in you, don't keep it to yourself. Tap the like button, share it with someone you care about, and leave a comment below. We'd love to hear your story. And if you're looking for more inspiration like this, go ahead and subscribe, because we're just getting started. Now that we've talked about fit, let's explore something just as important, color. You see, color doesn't just decorate your outfit. It communicates. It sends signals before you even open your mouth. And when the colors don't work together, or are just too loud, too jarring, they can overwhelm the beautiful presence you've spent a lifetime cultivating. We've all seen it. A neon green jacket paired with bright red pants and a patterned shirt that could stop traffic. It might feel fun at first, even youthful, but more often than not, loud or clashing colors say something else entirely. They can come across as chaotic, disconnected, or like you're trying just a little too hard to be seen. But here's the truth. No one tells you. You already deserve to be seen, not because of what you wear, but because of who you are. Your life, your wisdom, your resilience, they speak louder than any outfit ever could. So your clothes, they don't need to shout. They just need to support your story. Let's paint a picture. 2 friends, both in their late 60s, meet for a coffee catch-up. One wears soft navy slacks, a warm cream sweater, and a rust-colored scarf that brings out the brightness in her eyes. The other wears a bright fuchsia top, patterned leggings, and a lime green purse. Guess who gets complimented for looking elegant? And who gets polite glances followed by puzzled silence? Color doesn't have to be boring. In fact, muted tones can be incredibly powerful when used well. Earth tones like olive, sand, burgundy, slate blue, they add depth and warmth. Cool neutrals like gray, soft white, or tan create space for you to shine through, not just your wardrobe. And don't forget, as we age, our skin tone may shift slightly. The bright jewel tones that flattered you in your 30s might now feel too sharp. But that's not a loss. It's a transition, an invitation to rediscover colors that reflect the grounded, thoughtful person you've become. You don't need to eliminate color. You just need to let it work with you, not against you. So maybe it's time to ask, when you open your closet, do the colors lift your energy or drain it? Do they reflect calm confidence or compete for attention? And most importantly, do they help you feel at ease in your own skin? If you've ever struggled with colors that felt too loud or just didn't sit right, maybe it's time to give your wardrobe a fresh look. Start simple. Try pairing a soft base color with one accent tone. Play with combinations until something feels right, not just trendy. And if this idea sparked a little curiosity in you, don't keep it to yourself. Tap that like button. Share this video with someone who's ready for a wardrobe refresh and leave a comment. What's one color that makes you feel amazing every time you wear it? And of course, if you're enjoying this journey, be sure to subscribe because the best is yet to come. Now that we've explored the role of color, let's turn our attention to something more subtle, but just as important, the texture and transparency of the fabrics we wear. At first glance, a blouse may look perfectly fine in your bedroom mirror, but step outside, let the sunlight hit it from just the right angle, and suddenly, that once modest top is revealing far more than you ever intended. It's something that happens more often than you think. Fabrics today are thinner, stretchier, and more delicate than they used to be. And while that can mean comfort and breathability, it also means vulnerability, especially under bright light, flash photography, or even just natural movement. A light pastel top that looked elegant indoors may turn sheer in daylight. A pair of leggings worn with confidence around the house might leave you exposed in public settings. Not because you were careless, but because the fabric didn't do its job. And when undergarments become visible, whether it's through a blouse or a pair of pants that turns translucent when you sit down, it doesn't just affect how others perceive you. It affects how you carry yourself. Suddenly, you might feel the need to adjust your posture, pull at your hemline, or cross your arms a little tighter. That small sense of uncertainty, it takes up space where confidence used to live. But let me be clear, this isn't about shame. It's not about being proper or conservative. It's about feeling secure, dignified, and in control of how you show up in the world. Think of it like this. You've lived through decades of change in fashion, in culture, in your own skin. And now more than ever, you deserve to wear clothes that protect not just your body, but your presence. Here are a few simple tips that can make all the difference. Test your outfits in natural light. Stand near a window or even step outside. Move, sit, bend, see what shows up before anyone else does. Choose undergarments that match your skin tone, not your outfit color. This trick reduces contrast and makes fabric appear more opaque. Layer smart. A lightweight camisole, slip, or nude-toned tank can preserve comfort while offering coverage. Pay attention to fabric composition. Materials like rayon, chiffon, or thin cotton can often become transparent. Blends with modal, jersey, or lined knits offer more structure. And remember, adjusting your wardrobe to feel secure doesn't mean hiding who you are. It means honoring your image as much as your experience. So let me ask you, have you ever worn something that made you second-guess yourself the moment you stepped outside? What would it feel like to walk into a room without needing to tug, check, or wonder if something's showing? If this resonated with you, we'd love to hear your thoughts. Tap that like button if you've ever had a fabric surprise. And share this video with someone who deserves to step out in comfort and confidence. And don't forget to subscribe for more mindful style tips, because looking good should never come at the cost of feeling safe. After talking about fabric and how it behaves, let's move on to something that goes beyond the material itself. Something that speaks to timing, setting, and social awareness. I'm talking about dressing for the occasion. Here's the truth. Clothes don't just express who you are. They also signal how present you are in the moment. Have you ever shown up somewhere and immediately felt out of place because of what you were wearing? Maybe you walked into a quiet church gathering in bright athletic gear or wore a formal suit to a backyard picnic. It doesn't mean you were wrong, but it does mean the visual message didn't quite match the environment. And when our clothing feels out of sync with where we are, it can affect how people receive us. And more importantly, how we carry ourselves. Let's imagine this. Two friends Robert and James, both in their 70s, are attending a memorial service. Robert wears a simple dark blazer, polished shoes, and a light dress shirt. Nothing extravagant, just respectful. James shows up in a bright Hawaiian shirt, cargo shorts, and sandals. It was what he found comfortable, but the moment he walks in, he senses the mood shift. Now, this isn't about making anyone feel bad. In fact, comfort matters, but context matters just as much. Dressing appropriately for the setting is a sign of care, not just for ourselves, but for the people we're sharing space with. It says, I respect where I am and who I'm with. And that kind of presence, it speaks louder than fashion ever could. The good news is, being mindful of the occasion doesn't require a complete wardrobe overhaul. It just means building a simple, reliable system, a go-to set of outfits you can trust when you go to church or community events, attend a family dinner or celebration, head to the grocery store or casual walk in the park, visit someone in the hospital or attend a support group. Think of it like this. Your closet doesn't need to be complicated. It just needs to have purpose, a soft knit cardigan for quiet moments, a pair of clean neutral pants for everyday outings, a crisp shirt that can shift from casual to respectful with a change of shoes. And if you're not sure what's appropriate, just ask yourself one simple question. Am I showing up in a way that supports the energy of this space? Because when your appearance aligns with the setting, you don't just fit in, you connect. And connection, especially in this stage of life, is something worth nurturing every single day. So tell me, have you ever felt underdressed or overdressed for a moment that mattered? What would it feel like to walk into every room with quiet confidence, knowing your presence fits the moment? If this part of the message landed with you, go ahead and give this video a like, share it with a friend who cares deeply about showing up well, and drop a comment below with your favorite go-to outfit for a meaningful occasion. And of course, if you haven't yet, be sure to subscribe. Because we're here to make sure you show up fully, in style, in spirit, and in your story. Let's talk about fabric. Not just how it feels, but how it speaks. Because even when your outfit fits well and suits the occasion, the wrong kind of fabric can still send the wrong message. Some materials look fine on the hanger, but the moment they catch the light, they shine too much, wrinkle too easily, or cling to places they shouldn't. The result? An outfit that feels careless, even if your intention was anything but. As we age, our clothing should work with us, not against us. But cheap-looking fabrics, like stiff polyester, overly shiny blends, or thin synthetics, can make movement look awkward, exaggerate lines on the body, and take attention away from your presence. It's not about cost. It's about how the fabric holds shape, reflects light, and behaves in real life. Imagine two women, both attending a daytime community lunch. One wears a soft cotton linen blend blouse that flows naturally and keeps its structure. The other wears a synthetic top that gleams under fluorescent lighting and shows every crease from where it was folded. Even if both outfits were the same price, the impression they give is completely different. So how can you tell what's worth keeping? Here are a few simple things to look for when choosing fabrics. Hold it up to the light. If it glows like plastic or shows every wrinkle, it may not wear well. Feel the texture. Natural fibers like cotton, linen, bamboo, and high-quality knits tend to feel soft and breathable, not stiff or slippery. Check the seams. Poor stitching is often a sign of low fabric quality and low durability. And remember this, comfort is important, but comfort can still look elegant. You don't have to give up ease to look put together. A soft knit tunic in a solid color can feel just as cozy as a sweatshirt, but send a message of quiet intention. Wearing high-quality fabrics isn't about showing off. It's about showing self-respect, about letting the world know, without saying a word, that you still care how you move through it. So let me ask you, is there a piece of clothing in your wardrobe that feels good, but always looks a little off? What might change if you chose something just as comfortable, but a little more refined? If this spoke to you, go ahead and give this video a like, share it with someone who's ready to elevate their everyday look, and leave a comment. What's your favorite fabric to wear and why? And don't forget to subscribe because we're only halfway through, and there's so much more to discover together. We've talked about clothes. Now let's look down. Shoes may be the last thing you put on before stepping out the door, but they're one of the first things people notice when you arrive. And when they're worn out, cracked soles, frayed laces, faded leather, they don't just speak for your feet, they speak for your presence. It's easy to overlook shoes. They're practical, they serve a purpose, and if they're comfortable, we tend to hang on to them far longer than we should. But just like an unpressed shirt or a stained blouse, tired-looking shoes send a message. And often that message is, I've stopped paying attention. But that's not who you are. You've walked through decades of life. You've earned every mile. And your shoes, they should reflect that journey, not the wear and tear of giving up. Let's consider Harold and Dennis, two men in their 70s, meeting friends for coffee. Harold wears a clean pair of leather slip-ons, polished, simple, dependable. Dennis shows up in sneakers with peeling soles and laces tied in knots from years of stretching. One man is comfortable and put together. The other may feel the same inside, but outside the impression is different. Worn shoes don't just affect appearance, they affect posture, balance, and stability. And after 60, that matters more than ever. Slippery soles and poor arch support can lead to falls, something no one wants to risk. So how do you know when it's time to say goodbye to an old pair? Here are a few signs. Soles are uneven or thinning. Heels are wobbly or cracked. Insoles are no longer cushioned or smell musty. Laces won't stay tight or stitching has come undone. Replacing shoes doesn't mean replacing comfort. Today, there are plenty of options that combine style, ease, and support. Leather loafers with memory foam soles. Athletic style walking shoes in neutral tones. Slip-on shoes with arch support and rubber grip. Choose classic colors like black, brown, navy, or taupe. Shades that match almost anything, and make sure you can put them on without struggling. If tying laces is a hassle, it's not a failure. It's just time for a design that fits your lifestyle now. Because when your shoes are solid, polished, and comfortable, you feel grounded, you walk taller. And without saying a word, you remind the world you still show up with care. So let me ask you, are the shoes you wear today helping you move forward or holding you back one quiet step at a time? If this gave you something to think about, go ahead and tap that like button. Share it with someone whose shoes have a few too many stories. And tell us in the comments, what's your favorite pair of shoes and why? And of course, if you're walking with us on this journey, don't forget to subscribe. We've still got plenty of steps ahead. We've covered clothes and shoes, but now it's time to talk about the smallest details that often carry the loudest message: accessories, a cracked belt, a handbag with worn handles, a pair of glasses that hasn't changed shape since the early 90s. We keep them because they're familiar, because they still work, because we don't always realize how much they've changed or how much we have. But here's something worth remembering. Accessories are more than decoration. They're punctuation marks in your personal style. They complete the sentence your outfit is trying to say. And when they're outdated, tired, or mismatched, the whole message gets lost. Let's picture this. Norma and Alice, both 74, are attending the same Sunday brunch. Norma carries a sleek crossbody bag in a soft brown tone. Her glasses are modern but understated, with frames that complement her face shape. Alice arrives with a faded tote bag from a conference 15 years ago, and eyeglasses with yellowed lenses and missing nose pads. She doesn't even notice until she sees the photos later. It's not about chasing trends. It's about staying aligned with the person you are today. Because truth be told, holding on to accessories from decades past isn't always sentiment. Sometimes it's inertia. And inertia has a way of holding us back, gently, quietly, year after year. So how do you know when it's time to let go? Try this simple check. Does this item bring you energy or weigh you down? Would you feel proud wearing it to meet someone new? If someone gave it to you today, would you be excited or hesitant to use it? If the answer feels uncertain, that's your signal, and updating doesn't mean overhauling. You don't need an expensive bag or designer jewelry. You just need one or two well-chosen pieces that say, I'm still evolving. Maybe it's a leather wallet that feels solid in your hand, a new watch with a clean face, a neutral-toned bag that goes with anything, or glasses that finally match the shape your smile has grown into, because accessories, when chosen with care, have a quiet power. They say you pay attention, that you respect the full picture, that you still care about the impression you leave and the feeling you carry. So let me ask you, what's one accessory you've held on to longer than you should? What would it feel like to replace it with something that reflects who you are right now, not who you used to be? If this message made you look twice at your favorite bag or watch, go ahead and tap that like button. Share this with someone who deserves a small upgrade that makes a big difference, and let us know in the comments, what's one timeless accessory you'd never part with and one you're ready to retire? And if you're enjoying this journey of rediscovery, be sure to subscribe, because every detail matters and your story is still being written. Let's talk about something playful and maybe just a little tricky. You've seen them. T-shirts with cartoon characters, dancing tacos, funny slogans like, I'm not old, I'm vintage, or grumpy but cute. And let's be honest, some of them are really funny. Maybe someone gave them to you as a gift. Maybe you wear them around the house. Maybe you wore one out just yesterday, But here's the question. Does it reflect the person you are? Or the version of you someone else thought was amusing? See, humor has no age limit. Joy doesn't expire. But the way we express it can evolve. Because when a person in their 60s, 70s, or 80s walks into a room wearing a shirt that looks like it came from a teenager's closet, it creates confusion. Not because you're trying to be someone you're not, but because the message and the messenger feel out of sync, and that disconnect, it distracts from everything else you bring to the table. Your warmth, your wisdom, your presence. Let's imagine Linda and Barbara, both 78, meeting friends for brunch. Linda wears a soft cream blouse with a subtle floral pattern. Barbara shows up in a bright red t-shirt with a cartoon cat holding a cocktail that says, "Perfectly sassy." The room doesn't laugh. It just pauses again. This isn't about judgment. It's about alignment. You've lived through more than most people could imagine. Your clothes should celebrate that, not compete with it. And you don't need loud prints to be seen. Your story is already bold. Your presence already carries weight, so what can you wear instead? Graphic designs that are abstract, artistic, or symbolic. Subtle textures like embroidery, watercolor prints, or soft geometries. Colors and patterns that reflect calm confidence, not cartoon energy. Because true joy doesn't need to perform. It doesn't need a punchline. It simply shines. Through your voice, your smile, your gestures. Let your outfit support that, not shout over it. So what's in your drawer right now? Is there a shirt you've kept because it makes people laugh, but leaves you feeling like you're playing a part? What would it feel like to wear something that lets people see you, not just your sense of humor? If this made you smile or made you think twice, go ahead and hit that like button. Share it with someone who's ready to trade novelty for nuance. And tell us in the comments, what's one graphic you once loved, and what's your new favorite look that feels more you? And don't forget to subscribe, because dignity can have a sense of humor too. And we're here to help you strike that perfect balance. And finally, let's talk about labels. Not the kind people give you, but the kind printed across your chest, your hat, your bag. Logos used to be a symbol of pride. Back in the day, wearing a certain brand said, "I made it, I belong." It was a statement, but with time and wisdom, you begin to realize true belonging doesn't need to be broadcast. It just needs to be felt. Wearing clothing plastered with oversized logos, loud slogans, or designer names can feel like confidence, but often it reads more like you're trying to borrow credibility from a brand instead of letting your presence speak for itself. Picture Leonard and Gary, both in their late 70s. Leonard walks into a neighborhood lunch wearing a soft gray sweater and charcoal slacks. Nothing flashy, but everything about him says steady. Gary arrives in a hoodie with a massive logo across the front and sneakers covered in sports branding. He feels bold, but the room doesn't see him. They see the logo. Here's the thing. A powerful person doesn't need loud clothing to be noticed. And at this stage in life, you've earned the right to let your character walk ahead of your clothes. That's not to say branding is always bad. A subtle logo on a shoe, a tasteful monogram on a bag, these can still feel polished. But when the logo is the loudest thing in the room, it drowns out your quiet authority. So how do you shift? Choose solid colors or subtle patterns that highlight your natural tone. Focus on fit and fabric, because nothing says quality louder than a well-made piece. Let your accessories carry quiet sophistication. A simple watch, a clean lined tote, a crisp collar. Because when you dress simply but intentionally, people see you. Not your outfit, not your brand. You, and that's the greatest luxury of all. To walk into a space knowing you don't need to prove anything, just be fully present. So let me ask you, are the clothes you wear telling your story or someone else's? Do they highlight your values or just advertise for a company that doesn't even know your name? If this stirred something in you, take a second and hit that like button. Share this video with someone who's ready to stop shouting with their clothes and start showing up with purpose. And tell us in the comments, what's your favorite no logo look that makes you feel like you again? And if you haven't subscribed yet, this is the perfect time. Because from here on out, it's all about dressing with dignity, simplicity, and soul. We've covered a lot today. From fabrics to fit, from colors to character, and maybe somewhere along the way, you recognize a piece of your own story. Maybe it was an old pair of shoes you've worn down without even noticing, or a shirt with a cartoon that once made people laugh, but no longer feels like you. But here's the beautiful part. None of this is about shame. It's about choice. Every one of those fashion mistakes is just a doorway, a small invitation to reclaim how you show up in the world, not to impress anyone, not to prove anything, but to say gently and clearly, I still care, I still matter, and I still carry pride in who I am. Because aging with grace isn't about fading into the background. It's about learning how to shine in a quieter, deeper, more grounded way. So if today's video gave you something to think about, or maybe something to smile about, we'd love to hear it. Tell us in the comments, which of these 9 things surprised you the most, and what's one small change you're ready to make starting today? If this felt helpful, go ahead and tap that like button. Not for us, but for you. To mark this as a step forward, share it with someone who deserves to feel good about how they look and how they live. Subscribe if you haven't already, and hit the bell icon so you never miss a gentle reminder like this. Because here, we're not just talking about clothes, we're talking about confidence, we're talking about dignity, and we're walking this journey together. Thank you for spending your time with us. Until next time, keep showing up with care and with heart.